Welcome back to Voices of Kansas City. If you are just joining us, in our first half hour, Star editorial page editor Yvette Walker talked with Kenyetta Gann about her beauty cosmetics company, Pink Lips. And now, Star reporter Anna Spoerre will talk with Mike Rowland, founder of Ophelia's Blue Vine Farm, an urban farm on the edge of Kansas City's historic Jazz District.
Mr. Rowland, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? Has Kansas City always been home?
Okay, those are great questions. A little bit about myself. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, Show Me State. But I spent every summer with my grandmother in Springfield, Illinois. I used to take a Greyhound bus to visit her. She raised some incredible children. Two of them actually end up in different years playing for the New York Giants. So the family was highly competitive, highly successful. She was a seamstress. She grew up on a family farm in Arkansas, which is still there today. In spending the summer with her, I learned so much about life, a little bit about farming and gardening and stuff. Incredible memories, let's just say, of pulling out greens out of her freezer in winter and a taste of those. And so as the years progressed, when I got married and moved to Kansas City, I started to get back into gardening because I wanted my boys to know what real food tastes like, real tomatoes. I missed seeing some of the stuff in nature that I used to once see when I was growing up, like milkweed and the crab apples. And so it was just me gardening on different lots in the city. I had some great people who mentored me, some master gardeners, grow at Ivanhoe. They had spots for us to plant these vegetables and sell them at one small farmer's market. And we just really did what we could with what we had, at the time. And it was an opportunity for me to grow this produce and learn how to grow in different soil types, different areas within the city, and then meet different people and learn from them. So I like to say I failed my way to greatness, right? Because we spent so many years getting it wrong, but from that, we learned so much. And some of the stuff that I learned, or some of the things that I do, are really in any book. They're through experimentation or through learning from other Black farmers. A lot of times I think when you go to school for like an agricultural program, they're going to teach you a certain way. And then you get out, that's the way you're going to do it. But failure is the process. And when coronavirus had come about, the market had closed because a lot of the older people were scared to come out of the house and no one really wanted to do the market. And so I had just finished having Ophelia's built. It had been built a year. We were growing in it, but we weren't selling out of it. And so I said, okay, well, let's just put in a walk-in window, and then we got a point of sale machine. Let's just make it so people in the neighborhood can come and they can get some of the things, that we grow from right here. And I also had an idea of how to make it efficient, how to heat the space. And so what I did was I bought a pellet stove in the middle of summer from a teacher who had tenure but had gotten laid off, and he had this stove in his garage for 2 years and had never even taken it out of the box. I had the idea that if I heated my greenhouse space with biofuel, then it would be more sustainable, and also it would lower my costs, because for years before, I would rent spaces in these professional greenhouses, and they were heated by electricity or natural gas, and it was thousands of dollars a month. And so sustainability was a big, thing for us in helping do what we can, helping the community. And, we couldn't grow a lot of stuff, but, we could be a blessing to some folks. And so I just had the opportunity and the passion to just keep doing what I was doing. Around that time, I got a $25,000 grant from Casey Gift, which is where we're at now. And they realized that I was making a difference in the neighborhood and wanted to help me with professional resources, as well as setting up meetings with different suppliers and wholesalers. And from there, they set up the meeting with Hy-Vee, and then we went in all their stores here in Kansas City. They're the one who introduced us to Sunfresh, and so we got into there. But really, the product sells itself, and I say that because you have to be passionate about what you do. And if you're passionate about what you do, then success, I think, will follow you, and then the money will come. So everyone asks us what it took to this point. It just took a lot of hard work, and I hate to say it, but it took working 4 hours every day for 5 years.
Thank you so much for taking us through your timeline. This is what an amazing story from start to finish. And so take me all the way back to your grandmother's farm, Ophelia.
Okay.
And, put us in that place. What about being there in the garden with her was so inspiring to you as a child?
What really inspired me was the lessons I've learned from her as far as the ethic of hard work. And I passed that down through my boys as well. And so when you're a child, if you're working hard, not sitting at home playing video games and stuff but actually being a service to others. Those are things that will follow you throughout the rest of your life, and you'll be successful. And when times get hard, you'll know what really hard work is, because that's what it takes to be competitive now. And that's what she was. And her success was getting up and doing the hard work. I remember my grandmother, she was a seamstress as well and had a shop in her house, right? She would wake us up with the smell of bacon. She would cook bacon in the kitchen and you would smell it. And then you would go in the kitchen thinking you're getting some bacon, but the bacon wouldn't be ready for another hour. And so she would say, "Oh, you're up." And she used to always say, when you're sleeping late, "What do you think today's your birthday?" And she had this Hoover, really nice old school vacuum cleaner, like $1,000, like back in the day. She was the type of woman that would vacuum the floor every morning. She called it to get the sleep out, right? To see the lines, but the cleanliness, her habit of doing that, the pattern of doing that. And I think that's what makes me successful, because when you look at what people want, is people want consistency. So that's what we try to provide. We try to be consistent with what we do, consistent with our hours, consistent with the work that we put into it. But the greatest thing was the life lessons and the hard work ethic, and be nice to people, be responsible. She was a Jehovah's Witness. And so she used to go out and get all of her community service hours done like in January, but still go out. And so I think that, passed down to me, although I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, but that sense of caring of others, and trying to help out homeless people. There's a camp across the street from us, and they'll come over and they will ask for water and they'll fill up 55-gallon jugs, and so I'm not the type of person, because that's how my grandmother raised me, to say, "Oh no, that's going to cost me, that's $25 a cubic foot, and then, go and get away from here." So I think there has to be a humanity that's passed down to people, because people have different stories, or at different points in their life. And so I think more than just this variety, plant here, and this is the spacing, I think that what her family taught her, what her mother and father taught her, and what she's taught me, I try to pass down to my children. So it's more about the lessons, the theory, the philosophy that's carried over. And the reason we have her face on all of our T-shirts and on the brand, because I think everyone can relate to that older Black woman with the pearls and that time. And she definitely has a spirit that drives us and is inspiring.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. So your full-time job is not Ophelia's, right?
No.
You have many other careers that you're also passionate about.
I do a lot of stuff. And often people ask me, they're like, "Well, is this your full-time job?" Yeah, it's my full-time job, but I have a lot of full-time jobs. I'm, like most people, multidimensional. So I was going through film school and I did this film called Kansas City Murder Factory. It went to the Kansas International Film Festival. We sold out the festival twice. And since then, it lives on Amazon, and it deals with homicide in the urban core in Kansas City, right? So even back then, when I was in film school at Avila, there was this community service component. And that film was great because it changed how police dealt with homicide victims. That's just one of the things that it did. But one of the detectives came over and he was like, "We saw this film, and when we showed it, we were kind of mad, not mad at you, but how we were treating families of homicide victims." So they went back and they redid the procedure of how one homicide detective may have 10 cases and the other may have 2. And so the allocation was off. And so he couldn't return the service calls and they had all these problems. But that was really able to highlight this problem that we have. And it was because I grew up in St. Louis. They say you can't see the picture when you're in a frame. So I came and said, wow, how is there generational homicide within all of these families? Why is nobody talking about this? Why is nobody talking about these urban issues? And so I did Kansas City Murder Factory. And in that year, the Star did, they put my hands on the cover. I was holding 35 millimeter film, and it was, they did a series on inspiring people in the arts. But your question is just, I think that people are multidimensional. So I have a lot of things that I love to do and I love to explore, and so I teach video production. I have a company that I do corporate, high-end corporate projects with on the video side. I'm a drone pilot. I'm a father. I host a show on 107.3 KC's R&B and hip hop. I've done that. I've been in radio for 25 years. My first cousin is a rapper. His name's Ludacris. He's one of the, he just got a star in the Hall of Fame a couple of, maybe a month ago, I think it's something that service just runs in our blood. Being competitive just runs in our blood. And we just want to be the best. We want to win. So when I take on a project, I take it on 100% or I don't do it, And I think if it's something that you love, it's easy, because it's, you obsess about it, you think about it. How can I do this? How can I be better at this? How can I learn from this? And I think the magic that happens on Vine is people have seen me build that build that business from just an empty lot. There was no electricity, there was no water, there was no infrastructure, And so they'll drive by, and I think when they honk their horns, it's like the weirdest thing ever. For years they've always honked the horns, and every once in a while they'll stop and they'll say, I want to buy something, I've watched you for years. And I think my success is their success. When they see me working and they see Ophelia's starting as a lot, expanding this, being in the grocery stores, they know with hard work, the American dream can be achieved, and that's inspirational, and so that's really what I want to do. When I die, I don't want it to be as though I didn't make a difference. I want to pass on the knowledge, which is what a farmer is doing to me as he's retiring. And I just wanted to be a service to others, which is really what life should be.
And you mentioned to me earlier that part of your motivation to do this was you wanted your sons to know what a vine-picked tomato tastes like. So can you tell me a little bit about just the role your children played in you saying, let's get this started here in Kansas City?
So on our YouTube channel, Ophelia's Blue Vine Farm, we're not really selling anything. We just do these videos to show how we grow produce, and we have over 100 videos. And in it, I have one of my baby girls, she was 2 or 3 at the time, she just went up, she picked the tomato and she bit into it. And then she picked a green tomato and she bit into it. And it was great, but she won't eat tomatoes out of the grocery store because the taste is different. So what we do is homegrown varieties. There's a different taste, there's a different flavor. The commercial agriculture is not set up for that. They want varieties that you don't have to baby. If they get too much water, they won't crack, or if they get too much sun, they won't split. But the taste on a homegrown tomato or homegrown variety of tomato is just incredible. And that's really how the real food should taste. It should taste like the heirloom stuff. And so that's what we grow. We grow the heirloom stuff because it has that taste, it has that nutritional value. When we grow it right, we grow it organically, sustainably, we grow it in soil. There's an art to it at the end of the day, but there's no greater feeling than having someone come over and pick some grapes off the vine at Ophelia's Blue Vine and taste them and have the experience. They'll remember that for the rest of their life. They taste the tomato that's vine ripened. In the store, you don't get that. In the store, they pick it when it's still green, and then in a couple of days it turns red. And so when truly you can pick a tomato that has ripened on the vine, it's more work, but we're all about work. Why I have Ophelia's Blue Vine Farm on 24th in a Vine is because I wanted to do something for that area. Originally, there was no investment in that area when I bought those lots. All the investment went into power and light, And so, but I recognized, like Congressman Cleaver, that it was a diamond. The Vine is 13 blocks, but it is Black history. You can stand on Vine and you can see straight down to 70 Highway. And the songs when they're talking about going in Kansas City and being on Vine, this is the area they're at. It has so much culture, even though it's industrial and a lot of stuff is gone. It just has so much value to it. And so I said, I want to be a part of this renaissance and this rebirth. And so that's why I put it on Vine. We could have put it on in Lee Summit. We could have put it in Peculiar, and in those places it wouldn't have been significant. But having it in this area and doing it and having this beautiful greenhouse with no bars and $500 stained glass doors and antique planters and old heirloom roses, and it's all a throwback to like a childhood memory, or to like another time, a distant time. And so when people walk by, they can really stop and reflect on their life. We had a lady last year, and she was disabled, and she would come down on the sidewalk. It would take her a while. She'd come down on the sidewalk, and she looked over. I have yellow heirloom roses outside Ophelia's, and she asked if she could have one, and she said that she's been looking for those for 20 years, and her father used to have some of those in her garden when they were young, and she said that she felt that was God reminding her that she's in the right place. And so really those are the type of experiences that we want to make in people's lives.
It's not an experience you can get in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Sure. You talk about, work ethic is so important, and you have not taken the easy path in your practices here. You have been very intentional about sustainable farming practices. Can you talk a little bit more about why that's really important to you and what that looks like in practice?
Yeah. So my goal is to be 100% sustainable. I think we're always looking for shortcuts, right? And I think, like Henry Block would say, no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts in life, and that's really how you're successful. And so what I wanted to do, just build Ophelia's through a lot of hard work. And the sustainability aspect of it was the fact of I didn't want to have to buy my inputs. I want to get away from buying inputs, buying seed, buying fertilizer. I want to get away from electricity being attached to the grid and stuff. And so that's what was so instrumental at getting a $25,000 grant from GIFT, because that enabled us to buy a stove, a furnace, 200,000 BTU furnace that heats our greenhouse with biofuel, corn. And now we've partnered with Vine Street Brewery down the street, and we go and I actually take hundreds of pounds of grain back a week by hand, because we're not trying to burn any. It's crazy, yeah, but we're trying to keep our carbon footprint low. Feed that to the chickens will poop, and then it creates gas and methane. We want to show that it can be done. And so a lot of the principles we have, even though it's on a small scale, can be scaled up. We save our own seeds. I always say saving your seeds is printing your own money, because if it's open pollinated variety, which meaning it's not been genetically engineered or modified, you can save the seed and every year you can replant it, And so that's sustainable systems, systems where you're not having to have a lot of high energy costs, LED lights, and systems to where you're not having to heat such large spaces. I think our future now is greenhouses that are below grade, that are somewhat underground. So we want to get to where we have efficient, effective, sustainable systems where we're harvesting water, we're using wind and solar, and a lot of different strategies. By keeping the inputs low, it shows that sustainability can be done, and it also brings the price down for the consumer.
I had the privilege of going and seeing the greenhouse a couple weeks ago, and it just was amazing. I learned so much about sustainable practices you're using, and it was so cool to see. Or why is Ophelia so important in this space and time?
When God told me to start Ophelia's, right, I just felt it. You know what I'm saying? And it was. I felt like I was really called to do it for some crazy reason. And I say that because I bought those lots from the land bank, and I had put into it. I had put on the forum that I wanted to do an urban vineyard and community gardening, and I hadn't heard back from him for months. And then in a frantic, they called me and they said I had set the money aside in a cashier's check, and I had lost it, and it took like a day to find it. And I finally came in, and they were like, "Well, if you didn't come in today, then we were going to take the property back, and then after that, you couldn't buy anything on Vine." I realized Vine was historic. It's only 13 blocks. It represents Black excellence in Kansas City. And I guess right around that time, some other people did too, But I just felt like having this space that I could do something community-based was important for the community. I never wanted to be the farmer who is an urban farmer who just sells to high-end restaurants. See, most people that are urban farmers, they just sell to really high-end restaurants, and you can't really trace the impact in the community. But a lot of the grant money that you get is based on being in that poor area, but you're really not reaching out to the people who live, the residents, people who live in that area. And so what we wanted to do was to really reach out to the people who live in the area. So we went in, got with the USDA, and there's a program that takes senior farmers market vouchers. We had a lady who came down last year, and she was able to get more than just herbs, all types of vegetables, collards and whatnot. And she said, I walked around City Market, and the only person who would take these vouchers, all they had was garlic, And so we just knew that we were in the right moment when we were doing that, and that's gonna sustain us, because we'll have lifetime customers, and we're already starting to see that now that we're selling more outside Ophelia's. But I just wanted to have a relationship with the community, and to be able to know their story, and in return, they look out for us. If someone's prying around or trying to break in, they've run them off. We have neighbors who run them off several places. And then we've just reached out to the people in the community, even the homeless people, even doing something as caring as giving them water, which is a resource that they don't have. They have everything else, but they don't have water, and water is life. Giving away water has really helped them, and it's helped us, because they look out for Ophelia's. That's why you can have a plastic building and have no one damage it, So it's really been a win-win situation for us, and we've got to know their stories. And we have a YouTube video on our channel of a person who was homeless, and he was inspired, and it helped him. We paid him over the years to do work for us, and he ended up finding housing. And but not everybody makes it, you know what I'm saying? But if you can help, like when Ophelia used to go out in the morning and witness to people, if you can help just one person, or like what she said, if you can save one soul, then that's the ticket, So, but I felt like I was called to do it, even though it was, it just made no sense, and people were like, I'll never forget, someone told me, they said, yeah, you're really going to make money selling herbs in the hood? And that was my wife. So no, it was kind of a crazy idea, but I knew it had value, and so that's why I just stuck with it. And I kind of felt like how, Noah felt in one of the Bible stories of doing something. Could you imagine you're doing something for so long, for so many years, you've never seen rain, their children's children, you're still out there building this boat. I mean, and then I just figured that, along the lines, if I keep walking the path, it'll make sense, and I think we're there yet. Maybe we haven't really scratched the surface of where we'll be, but I think there is something to be said about having a strong local food system in combination with the global food system. When the food can't get into the country, and because of climate change, they can't even move it really across the United States. There's shortages, truck shortages, air conditioner problems. And so my idea, we go back to sustainability, I want to trying to go back to land bank and getting a piece of property that we can do hydroelectric, for, and using the power of water as energy. So I think if we just show it can be done on a small scale, of course, then people can see it. And that's what we've done. We show we can heat a greenhouse. We've got an olive tree in there that's not even in the ground. So we know these systems work, but very few people are really doing that because it's hard.
There was a story that you told earlier that I thought illustrated so well the importance of having a strong local food system, and that was the time you saved Thanksgiving dinner for a lot of people.
So we did Christmas orders and Thanksgiving orders for Hy-Vee Supermarket, and we did all of the over 20 stores. One of the other herb providers, there was a storm, it was an ice storm last year, and they couldn't get their product in. So they ordered hundreds of units, and so we were able to go open up the greenhouse. It was crazy. I went out, and met up with my worker, and bless her soul. And it was -13. We went on this high storm, and we had everything that we needed to put this order together, wrap it, and deliver. It was a beautiful thing to be able to step up when you can, and even if it's just one store, even if it's just a couple hundred people, even if it's something as small as some basil or some sage to make your stuffing mix,
What can they enjoy?
Okay, so we have a lot of stuff. On 2416 Vine, we're open to the community Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 5. And from us and other local growers through our co-op, you can come down and you can get produce, you can get green mixes, you can get green tomatoes, you can get okra, you can get cantaloupe, watermelon, all the fresh herbs like rosemary, thyme, oregano. You can also go to our website, Ophelia'sBlueVineFarm.com, and we have videos, we have our story, we have how you can contact us if you want to come out and volunteer, if you want to donate a piece of equipment or just anything, or if you just want to learn. Mainly, we just want to inspire people. And so we really don't ask for donations or anything like that. That's why we're in this game. We're in it to inspire and be the best we can. And even if it's just a small greenhouse with a small footprint, we still want to make a big difference.
This all started with learning from your grandmother. And so now you're teaching your sons and your daughter too as she gets older. How is that going?
It's great. I mean, I love it. They love it. It gives me a chance to work with them and interact with them and have them have social skills, interact with other people. It's just been a great experience, besides just the farming aspect. I think the hard work aspect is the most important, but being around them, being a strong father figure in their life has been extremely important, and they get it. I remember one time it was raining. I asked my boys, "You sure you guys want to go? It's raining. We're probably not going to make any money." And my son Elijah, he's 15 now. He said he was probably 8 then. He said, "Dad, it's not really about money," and it's really not. It's But I think that they've learned a lot from me, but I think they've learned even more from the people in the community that they've met over the years.
When you look at Ophelia's, zoom out, big picture, fast forward, what do you hope the bigger impact is in Kansas City, in 18th and Vine, for future generations?
It's a great question. One of the reasons I love Casey Gift is the fact that they have a slogan of 10 people give $10 a month, then we can really help out the community in small Black businesses. And I was blessed to get a grant, and I just it's just incredible to have people believe in you and have people help you, and then being able to get your business to a point to where you can help other people and you can build generational wealth. But when I say generational wealth is something that I want to build for me and my family, it's just not so they can go and party on yachts, and it's so we can really help people, so we can employ people, so we can give people jobs, which is what they need. And I really would like to work more in some capacity, helping homeless people, helping people who have been incarcerated for a very long time, and people with mental disabilities and in certain issues where they can't hold traditional jobs. So maybe it could be a situation where they can come down for an hour or two and pot on some plants, and we can give them some great benefits and really change their life. And so I see Ophelia's getting to a point where we're growing outside of Kansas City. Everything is coming back to 18th and Vine, 24th and Vine, all the produce, and that's kind of our outlet. The great thing about this area is it's so multicultural, and we can be, as far as a distribution point, we can be anywhere within no more than 25 minutes. So it's a great distribution point, and I think people need another place in the city to come and buy the fresh foods and vegetables and herbs, and from people who really care about it, people who are really going to quality control it, and I think it's needed. And so I want to see us do that and expand and go into other cities and export to other cities, ship produce to other cities. We need to put some funding out there and some highlights out there, some help out there for farmers or people who build local, sustainable food systems.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd want to highlight that we haven't talked about?
I've just been, I'm honored to have been blessed and have people want to tell my story, and people help me out and support me, which is what Gift has done over the years. The KC Star did years ago and didn't even realize, didn't even realize it, but just awesome to be able to be recognized as someone making a difference in Kansas City, because really that's what it's about. When we leave, we can't take any of this with us, And so I want people to remember me as a person, who really cared, as a person who helped others and inspired, people. And so I think maybe that's one of my greatest assets is, and I just love it, just showing people something, and then having them take it from there, and inspiring people to do whatever it is that they do, to do their art, to live in their art. The greatest word of advice I guess I could give would be, I guess, to live your dreams and not your fears.
I love that. Thank you so much. It has been amazing just to hear your story, and thank you for sharing it again with, even more people. There's so many incredible people doing incredible work in Kansas City, and it's just positivity and inspiration that we all can benefit from. So thank you for doing this and for taking time.
Thank you for joining us today on The Voices of Kansas City. The Voices of Kansas City was created through a partnership between the Star, KKFI Community Radio, and KC Gift, a nonprofit that supports Black small businesses. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, tune in next week on Friday at noon for Voices of Kansas City on KKFI Kansas City Community Radio 90.1 FM.